MaxDefense Philippines already confirmed that the Philippine Air Force's Technical Working Group has recommended the acquisition of Jas-39 Gripen to the Department of National Defense, which in turn submitted the DND's request for approval based on PAF's recommendations to then-President Rodrigo Duterte for approval. This was despite strong push by the US government to consider the F-16 Block 70 Viper to be selected for the PAF's Multirole Fighter Acquisition Project, highlighting its superiority over the Gripen C and superiority of US government support over its entire life cycle over the support to the Gripen by the Swedish government, despite the Viper's higher price tag. No doubt, a decision was already made as early as 2021, and this remains unchanged up until now. It has become clear that the MRF acquisition project did not push through in 2021, not just because the Philippine government failed to allocate funds for the project. Recent updates from Sweden confirmed that an approval by the Swedish government to export the Gripen to the Philippines was not made during the term of former President Duterte due to his notorious human rights record. Swedish approval was only made during the term of current President Ferdinand Marcos Jr due to improvement in the country's human rights records with the new leadership. Now that the issue of approval by Sweden has been done, the next issue would be the funding. MaxDefense Philippines received confirmation from numerous sources from the DND, PAF, and recently from a high-ranking cabinet official of the Marcos administration that the DND has resubmitted its request for approval of the Multirole Fighter Acquisition Project to President Ferdinand Marcos Jr, still based on the Jas-39 Gripen proposal, and that initial funding would be using unprogrammed funds under General Appropriations Act, GAA, for fiscal year 2023, which has more than enough to finance the initial funding required to start the project. This is why a few days ago, we posted in our personal Twitter account that the ball is now with President Marcos, as his approval to use the unprogrammed funds and to approval of the project itself is now in his hands. Our PAF and DND sources were very positive that Marcos will approve the project in the next few months. If this pushes through, the MRF acquisition project of the PAF will become the Philippines' most expensive defense acquisition undertaking in its history, as the project is expected to cost more than PHP 73 billion, which includes the ammunition for the fighters. This will also allow the DND and PAF to consider the project as a Horizon 2 phase project, and also allow them to start plans for the MRF Phase 2 acquisition project under the Horizon 3 phase, which calls for another batch of MRFs, which MaxDefense PH estimates to be between 12 to 24 additional fighters depending on funding availability.